Welcome to another virtual training session for the NCSSMA. My name is Val Mayaski with American Benefits Exchange, and I want to stop you right there. If you have not watched our video that's titled, Who is American Benefits Exchange? Who is ABX? I encourage you to stop right now, go view that video first so that you can find out about who we are, our connection with NICSMA as a corporate partner, what we do, why we do it, and how we're able to service you as a member of the NCSSMA. So again, pause this video, go back, watch that one, learn a little bit more about us, and come back and view the other videos. Well, the series that we've created is entitled What You Need to Know Regarding Your Benefits and Retirement. And that's exactly what we do. We inform. We give you the information that you need to know so you can make the best decisions moving forward. Now, this is different than how we normally do it, but so excuse my looking at the screen here to review my notes and view the material that's presented on the slides. But today we're going to be talking about federal survivor benefits and what that means in retirement, the options that are available, the costs that are involved, and how you can provide a benefit for your spouse in retirement, assuming you pass away first as the federal employee. So again, this is very informal. You can always pause the video if needed, grab a notepad, take some notes, jot some questions down if you have them. And what we'd like to really do is talk to you individually, because I'm sure you may have some questions, concerns, things that you need answered. We'd like to talk to you about your personal situation and go over that with you. That way you know that you're set up properly and you're going to make the best decisions moving forward. I'll put my contact information at the end, but it is very important to get your own personalized benefits and retirement review done so that you have all these answers and more, and you know you're set up properly. Okay, let's dive right in. Survivor Benefits Plan, otherwise known as SBP. It's very important to note though first, and I'm going to go back to that because I just skipped it, sorry. It's very important to note that the federal employee health benefits are attached to this decision that you're going to make. What that means is if you want to leave your health benefits or you want to make sure that your spouse, in the event that you die first, has the ability to continue your federal employee health benefits, then you must at least elect a minimal survivor benefit. We'll go over what that means for both systems here in just a second. But if you do not elect a survivor benefit option and you pass away first as a federal employee, your health benefits essentially die with you, and your spouse would have to get additional health insurance or have an alternative in place. So just letting you know that, very important. Okay. Also important to note, those that are married at the time of retirement, the default option is that you will be selected or electing the maximum survivor benefit. If you want to leave your spouse anything less than the maximum, they have to sign off on it. They have to sign the spousal consent form, which is SF 2801-2, sign saying that they agree to take anything less, whether it's a minimal or nothing when it comes to the survivor benefits. Okay, we're going to look at options when it comes to CSRS and FERS because there's two different types of options there, but in the way it's calculated and the costs that are involved, but essentially there are three options no matter what system you're in. It's a self-only annuity, meaning there's no survivor benefits at all. It's a maximum retirement payment. There's a partially reduced annuity, which means there's some middle ground there, or a fully reduced annuity, which is the maximum survivor benefit that you can leave your spouse. Now this is color coded. So anytime you see something that has a big yellow highlight behind it, that means it is for the old system, CSRS. So we'll dive into that first. I will say if you are a FERS employee and you're not interested in learning about the CSRS survivor benefit options, fast forward the video, scroll until you see a green highlight. You know that that's the FERS section. So a CSRS employee upon retirement can leave up to 55% of the benefit base that they choose, or I should say the survivor benefits will be 55% of the benefit base that the CSRS employee chooses. What is the benefit base? Well, that can be anywhere from their full retirement annuity, that's the maximum that they can choose. So the spouse would get 55% of their pension. The minimum that they can choose is $22. Now you think that's kind of funny that a federal employee, a CSRS federal employee, can choose anything from their full retirement annuity down to $22, and their spouse will get 55% of that number. Why 22? Because 55% of 22 is 12. That's $1 per month that a CSRS employee can leave their spouse at a minimum. Why is that important? Because even at $1 per month, the spouse can still keep the health benefits. Now, they still have to pay for the health benefits. So most people, if they're savvy and want to leave a minimal benefit, will leave just enough so that it at least pays for the survivor benefit, for the health benefits in survivor, or for the survivor, sorry. So costs involved in this. Now there's a lot of numbers here. Essentially, it's about 10%. It's a little less than 10% for a CSRS employee. It's 2.5% of the first 3,600 of the benefit base, which is always $90, and 10% of the remainder. So it's a little less than 10% of their retirement check that they're paying. Well, I shouldn't say that, 10% of the benefit base that they select for the survivor benefits. Now, if we're going to FERS, as I said, FERS and CSRS is a little different. CSRS, there's a lot more flexibility when it comes to the survivor benefit options that are available. For FERS employees, you essentially have two options if you want to leave a benefit. You can leave either 25% of your pension check, or you can leave 50%, which is the maximum of your pension check. Cost for this, pretty simple. If you leave the maximum, it's going to cost you 10% of your check. And if you leave the minimal, 25%, it's going to cost you 5% of your retirement check. Now, I want to show you a couple examples, and I'm going to use a CSRS employee. You can see it's yellow here. Let's just say that this federal employee, the CSRS employee, was going to make $70,250 in retirement. So if you've watched the retirement systems calculation and seen that video, you'll see how we get that $70,000 number. But let's say CSRS retiree making $70,250 per year in retirement wants to leave the maximum survivor benefit of 55% to their spouse. How much is this going to cost? Well, I said it's 2.5% of the first 3,600, which is always $90, plus 10% of the remaining benefit base. In this case, it would cost this person $562.92 per month out of their retirement check to leave their spouse 55% of their retirement check should they pass away first. Hopefully that's not too confusing, but just showing you how hefty those costs could be when we're talking about a little less than 10% of their retirement check. Let's look at a FERS example. A little simpler when it comes to the math, but again, looking at our retirement calculations from the retirement systems video, our FERS retiree was making $33,000 a year, wants to leave a maximum survivor benefit for their spouse at 50%. It's going to cost 10% of their check, or $275 per month. Get 10% out of the check. It's a big expense. Big expense. Let's look at a couple scenarios here. Now, I like to use John and Jane Smith, my CSRS retirees. You can plug in any name that you want. I just use John and Jane Smith, CSRS retiree. Now, I usually go over this when I'm giving presentations because I want to hit home the importance of choosing the proper survivor benefit and making sure you make the right decision. Why is that? Because the survivor benefit election is essentially set in stone. Once you make this decision, there's no turning back. Okay, you can't go down the road and say, you know what, this is costing me about 10% of my retirement check. We no longer need this benefit. Let's just get rid of it. Can't do that. It's set in stone. It's effectively, you made a decision at retirement and you need to stick with it. So if you elected not to have a survivor benefit, you can't add it down the road. And if you elected to have a survivor benefit, you can't cancel it down the road for no reason. There's only one way you can make a choice or a change to your survivor benefit election. Number one, if you're married and you choose a survivor benefit, if your spouse predeceases you, you can cancel the benefit and regain your full pension. Okay, I'll go over that scenario here in just a second. The other is if you are unmarried when you are retired and you did not elect a survivor benefit, and then you get married in retirement, you can at that point add a survivor benefit. But essentially, this decision is set in stone. So let's say John retires at age 65, and both him and his spouse live happily for 15 years in retirement. Why? Because I want you all to live happily in retirement. I want to show an example. After 15 years, then something happens. Now, what is the best way that this happens? What is the most cost-effective way to pay for your survivor benefits? John doesn't live 15 years in retirement. John elects a survivor benefit, and he passes away shortly after retiring, and Jane lives forever. Why would that be the most cost-effective way? Because John would have paid a minimal amount into the survivor benefit plan, and Jane would have gotten the most amount of benefits. That's not how I want this to work, right? I'm saying they're both living 15 years into retirement. So what does that look like when something happens? What can happen? Well, let's say John died first and Jane followed 3 months later. You can put whatever you want in there, 3 months, 9 months, 3 years. Shortly after John passing away, Jane, the spouse, follows. Now I use 3 months because that's what happened with my grandparents. It's a realistic example for me. What happens if Jane dies first? What happens if something tragic and they both pass away together? I don't want that to happen, but it could happen, right? Here's some 3 semi-realistic scenarios. So again, John dies first and Jane follows 3 months later. Well, sorry, John, but at that $562 a month cost for 15 years, he would have lost out of his pension check $101,000+ that paid for this plan. Now John passes away and Jane collects 55%, because this is a CSRS employee, 55% of John's pension for the rest of her life, in this case, 3 months. Okay, Jane would have collected $9,660 total. Those benefits are still taxable. They're not tax-free, and benefits do not pass on. So this is a spouse-only benefit for the most part. This doesn't seem like a good deal for John here. Now let's look at the second scenario. What happens if Jane passed away first? Okay. Again, would have paid the same amount of money over 15 years, $101,000+. John can cancel the survivor benefit at this point, but he does not recoup, does not get back any of the money that was paid into the plan. So this is one of those scenarios where, sorry, Jane, John is able to cancel the survivor benefit, regain the full pension, but does not get back any of those funds that were taken out of his check for this plan. There's no cash buildup. There's no equity in this plan. And tragically, what happens if something, they both passed away together? I don't know, car accident or something, you never know, tragic. Total cost again, and no benefits would have been paid to anybody. This is a spouse-only benefit. This is not true life insurance in death. It's not a true death benefit. So just to review, and I'm going to put all these things up here just so we can review this, but survivor benefit plan is a bad piece of life insurance in my opinion. I'll explain that in a second. But just to review this, you pay a premium and receive a reduced pension. How does life insurance work? You pay a premium, and when you die, somebody, your beneficiary, gets a death benefit. So how does this one work? You pay a premium, your pension's reduced, but you're paying for it. And when you die, your spouse gets a benefit. Well, unlike versions of life insurance, there's no cash value built up into this plan. There's no equity. There's lack of options in retirement and death. What does that mean? Once you check that box and you choose and make that decision, I said it's essentially set in stone. Not trying to scare you on this, but just want to make sure you're educated so you make the right decision. So in retirement, you've either got the options you can choose from, a full spousal benefit, a partial, and no spousal benefit. Lack of options in death. What do I mean by that? If you pass away first, your spouse then will get a monthly benefit that is taxable for the rest of their life. That's the only option. What if they had the option to choose a lump sum tax-free death benefit that comes with life insurance? What if they had to choose a lump sum, or tax-free monthly payments for the rest of their life instead of taxable benefits? That can be done with life insurance. What if they had the choice between the two? They can say, you know what, I'm not feeling too good health-wise. I'll take the lump sum. Or you know what, I'll roll the dice. I think I've got longevity left. I'm going to get a tax-free monthly payment for the rest of my life. What if your spouse had that option? Maybe there's a better plan out there for them. And also they attach the federal employee health benefits to it. So as I mentioned, as much as I think that this is a bad piece of life insurance, it doesn't act like true life insurance. There's no tax-free death benefit. There's no lump sum option. If, and I say if you want to guarantee 100% that your spouse has the opportunity to keep your federal employee health benefits, should you die first as a federal employee in retirement, then you need to at least elect the minimal survivor benefit. I can't reiterate that enough. Now, if you're looking at options, if you're saying, you know what, this may not be the best thing for me, what else is out there, Val? What can I do? Well, there are plans out there specifically designed for federal employees to be alternatives to this. And we'd be happy to go over those with you and see if they're suitable, see if it fits. It's not for everybody, but there are options out there that you need to know about. This way, again, you can make the best decision for you and your family and make sure it is the most cost-effective way to provide benefits for your spouse should you pass away first in retirement. So I'm going to, I'll put my contact info up here in just a second, but what are the next steps, right? And I reiterate, getting a personal benefits and retirement review. Understand where you currently stand, see what's coming out of your paycheck, what's going into it, how do you project as you're looking forward towards retirement? Do you have all the information needed to make the best decisions? Do you have questions that you need to have answered? Reach out to us. I'm going to put my contact info here on the next slide. Write it down, pause the video. This is my direct phone number in my office, direct email. You can also visit our website, www.thinkabx.com, for some more information, request some information on our site. But again, if you have questions that need to be answered, you want to go over your personal situation, that is what we specialize in, and that is the service that we provide free of charge to the members of NICSMA.